Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We have hit our goal, and I want to give a shout out to some of the people who have helped to make that happen. The dial's been updated. We have passed our goal of $15,000 for the winter fundraising drive. We started this over Thanksgiving weekend, as we said, and we do this every year. This helps to basically fund and keep the operation going for the coming year. So for 2026, this is what we needed to pay staff, make sure that we have all of our hosting and subscriptions and security, as well as content creators as well. So all of that comes out of this budget, okay? So we had to plug some serious gaps, and you guys have come through for us in a massive way. Thank you so much. You guys, this means a lot, and this means that we're going to be able to do what we need to do, not just to keep the doors open for this independent media platform, but to excel. Today's show theme, the Epstein Files. These are imperiling U.S. dominance, U.S. and Israeli power and hegemony. It's being compromised in a massive way by the Epstein Files. Why is that? Now you have countries openly mocking the United States for basically protecting pedophiles. A government that is infested with corrupt spooks, agents, blackmailers, pedos. This is how the world is viewing the West, okay? And specifically the United States, because Epstein, the network is just vast. And we'll show you some examples of this, but if America doesn't have the respect, it is basically being viewed as a criminal enterprise, because this guy, Jeffrey Epstein, was everywhere. He's best friends with Donald Trump. He is best friends with Bill Gates. He is buddy-buddy with Elon Musk, as we showed you last week. And that's just the beginning of it. He's basically doing financial dirty laundry for the Rothschild banking dynasty. And on it goes. He's got compromise on everybody. He's pulling money out of deals. He's inserting himself as a middleman, finder's fees, whatever. It's incredible. And he's allowed to do that because of the service he provides for the elite. Much like Jimmy Savile. He was a procurer of things that investment bankers, presidents, high-ranking politicians, other figures, science figures, academics, mainly finance, politics. He's very involved in all that, plus the spy world. So we got, well, just to show you, this is just show you the level of this. This is what Vladimir Putin said. This is a very famous recent comment Putin gave. And listen closely to what he is saying, because if Putin is saying this about the U.S. and the West, just imagine what all the other African countries, Asian countries, South American countries, people know. We've tried to cover it up because our press is corrupt and normalize this. And this is, it's not a Russian scandal, folks. Epstein. They're trying to paint it as such this week. It's not. It's pretty clear what the links are. And this is devastating for U.S.-Israeli power. Epstein, for whatever reason, I don't know why these emails were dumped. Why half this stuff has seen the light of day. I can tell you why I think it was released. Because it didn't have to be released, no matter how many people are screaming for it. But we can talk about that maybe now or possibly in overdrive. But here's Vladimir Putin. Listen closely to what he's saying. Let me bring this clip up.
In the world, they are looking at what's happening in our country, what's happening in our struggle for our interests. And here is an important thing. Why is it happening? not because we are formally a BRICS member or we have some traditional relations with Africa, which is also important as well. But the gist of it is different. The gist of it is that the so-called golden billion for centuries, for 500 years, they have practically lived off of other peoples. They were ripping apart these poor peoples, poor nations of Africa. They exploited Latin America. They exploited the countries of Asia. And of course, no one forgets this. And I have a feeling that it's not even about the leaders of these countries, even though it is a very important thing, but the common people of these countries. In their heart, they can feel what's happening. They can see our struggle for our independence, for our true sovereignty. And they see this connection with their aspirations to be truly independent, which is exacerbated by the fact that in the Western elites, there is a strong desire to freeze the current unfair state of things in international affairs. For centuries, they've been stuffing their stomachs with human flesh and they've been stuffing their pockets with money, but they must realize that this ball of vampires is about to end.
So Putin saying the vampire's ball is about to end. That's what he said. That's what he said, folks. And he's not a clown, unlike our president that we have in the United States, who is a certified clown, a moron, somebody who doesn't read. Donald Trump doesn't read. Donald Trump doesn't read anything. Donald Trump doesn't know what the contents of the Iran nuclear deal was that Obama passed, the JCPOA. He doesn't know anything about the deal. But he says, it's a terrible deal. It's a terrible deal. What Obama, another bad deal from Obama. So right now, Trump is trying to negotiate with the Iranians to get a nuclear deal that's exactly the same as the JCPOA, only with less countries acting as guarantors. No countries at the moment will be acting as guarantors. So this is the deal. He said, it's a terrible deal. Blah, 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 and then drag us to the brink of World War III because Israel said tear up the deal. I don't trust a word this president in Washington is claiming he's saying with regards to this new nuclear deal. He said he destroyed the nuclear weapons, didn't he? Back in June. Guess not. Or maybe, who knows? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter with Trump. So there's Putin. The vampire ball is over, says Vladimir Putin. Okay. So, yes, the Epstein email dump. Best friends, besties. These are just some of the most unsavory people are caught up in this, including Alan Dershowitz. And there's just too many names to mention. Everybody is talking about it. You know, my biggest fear is that the reason these emails, millions of documents were dumped, and many of them have been removed by the DOJ, by the way, because they were too salacious or they implicated some famous politician or celebrity. So they've taken them away. But was this done by Israeli-controlled interests in the DOJ? Like Pam Bondi was a lobbyist for Israel before she was handpicked to be Attorney General. Just saying. It says, people say, oh, she was a Qatari lobbyist. No, her lobbying firm did lobbying for Israel as well. And probably more, that's the key component of that. So she was handpicked by Netanyahu. That was all set up to put her in. partly to cover up the Epstein files. But not only was there a lot of pressure from the MAGA base, from Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, it was a bipartisan effort to release this, but for Israeli factions within the U.S. government, which is 3/4 of the U.S. government, operate as an extension of Israel. This is Netanyahu's way of pushing Trump as well to attack Iran, because it seems like Trump's gotten cold feet or is not moving fast enough, and then all of a sudden, boom, these emails are released. So make of it what you will. I can't say I know for sure what the reason behind this is. It could also be just to vent all of this and let it burn itself off and then move on to the war after that. Or perhaps this could backfire, and this could hurt Trump to such a degree that support for him going to war with Iran, unprovoked war of aggression, is going to be hurt by the fact that Israel is so tied up in these Epstein files, and Israel is the one that's pushing this government in the U.S. to attack Iran. So the problem here is Israel. The number one problem in the Middle East is Israel. The number one problem in Washington is Israel. And the Epstein files, the number one factor is Israel. So it's hard to get around this obvious conclusion, okay? Now, we've done some reporting here, and we have to tip our hat as well to the Global Affairs Department. This is a very important part of our operation, which we've been building up over the last year. And this was the first sort of report I'll point you to anyway, Pandemics for Profit. Jeffrey Epstein was a pandemic power broker, and this is featuring the work of Sire G, who is fantastic health freedom advocate in that space, but he did a very good report, and we link to his Substack here. And that's really, really key to people understand. Epstein was deeply involved with Bill Gates in planning this fake pandemic. Fake pandemic. So all you people that were worshiping at the altar of COVID-19, like this submicroscopic particle that nobody could ever find, but there are plenty of cartoons of COVID, spike proteins that don't exist. Just understand one thing. Behind that whole fiction is people like this. Jeffrey Epstein, working with, blackmailing, or who knows, with Russian hookers and Bill Gates. Okay? Just know that when you put your mask on and locked yourself down and got jabbed to high heaven, that one of the reasons you had to do that was because Epstein and Gates were basically plotting to create this global pandemic, which they all made out like bandits on. Tons of money were made on this. And not only that, but, you know, from the Gates-Epstein point of view, maybe, you know, killing a few million people is not a bad thing in their eugenics sort of worldview. Obviously, there's some religious superiority or racial superiority going on there, along with other type of machinations that go with eugenics. So that's the first one. Now, this is the other one here. So Tom Barak is Trump's go-to man in the Middle East. Well, he is in the Epstein files 544 times. Freddie Ponton, 21st Century Wire, zero accountability, the dark ties between Tom Barak and Jeffrey Epstein. Look at them in a Turkish bath. That's Ehud Barak there on the left-hand side with the glasses. Ex-Israeli PM, head of Israeli intelligence, there with Jeffrey Epstein in the middle, and then Tom Barak, Trump's fixer, billionaire, Trump's fixer. He is basically trying to start a civil war in Lebanon and trying to hand over South Lebanon to Israel. So that's Trump's, really working for Israel. So he's thick like thieves with Epstein. Another one. That's the top Middle East guy for Trump. Right in there with Jeff, doing deals, besties. besties. So Trump is up to his neck in this. And how much of the Trump administration is really the Epstein administration, if you think about it? Okay, so that's up at 21st Century Wire. Great job, Freddie. Oh, but it just gets better, doesn't it? Next. Buried in the DOJ files, Epstein was a fixer for the Rothschild banking dynasty. Wow. And so the Rothschilds got into, Arian Rothschild here, got into a real bind. This is one of those Swiss investment banks there, Edmund Rothschild, I think is the name of the bank. And they got tied up in a huge money laundering scandal involving the Malaysian government and sovereign wealth fund. Huge. These people are criminals, and they launder large sums of money through legitimate, what seemingly legitimate channels. Okay. So, and so Jeff was helping reduce, it seems like he was working with her. This is what it appears from the emails, to reduce their fine, because there was a U.S. DOJ investigation into this banking fraud and laundering. And Jeff somehow pulled some strings and got the fine reduced, and they cut him in on a commission. I think he made $25 million on that deal, just getting their fine reduced. Emails, receipts, all there. Great research. Again, so this one appeared in the Financial Times as well. So we sort of technically got there first. But yeah, they didn't beat us, that's for sure. Anyway, that's the sort of work, but this is even better. Now this one, the Lutnick deception, the island email that won't go away. Howard Lutnick is Donald Trump's handler, okay? So Israel has installed Lutnick, his commerce secretary, that shadows Trump on Air Force One in the Oval Office. Wherever you see Trump, you will see Howard Lutnick. He is Trump's handler. He watches everything Trump says, and he monitors all of his commentary and all of it, okay? Lutnick claimed that Epstein was a disgusting person and, I wouldn't have anything to do with him. They just happened to be next-door neighbors in Manhattan at the notorious Epstein mansion, shared a wall with Jeff, okay? And it turns out their business ties, especially Lutnick's wife and Ghislaine Maxwell, thick like thieves. All the details are in here. And after we ran this, 2 days later, I won't show you the article, but you can find it. Just in CBS News. CBS News is an Israeli-controlled U.S. outlet that the Israeli interests took over CBS this year. And they installed a propagandist by the name of Barry Weiss, who is really one of the most annoying people, terrible journalist who got a huge payout for her blog. It was an inside deal. They gave her $150 million for a lousy blog, which they called the Free Press. So ridiculous. But then they, part of the Larry Ellison deal, they put her in charge of CBS. She has no experience, not qualified, but she is an Israeli loyalist. And so they've got their operatives in there. CBS News ran basically this story 2 days after we did, which has quite a lot of the material that's in our article, okay? Now, in the CBS story was damage control. It was really trying really hard to make it look like, yes, there's relations between Lutnick and Epstein, but Lutnick is not directly involved in anything. But that's not true. And of course, we show the receipts here. Again, Freddie Ponton. Great job at 21st Century Wire. Look at that. So here's Howard Lutnick, just to give you a taste of what an absolute fanatic this guy is. Now, this guy, basically, so this was in Madison Square Garden right before the election, okay? And he was speaking there along with, Rudy Giuliani gave one of the most cringeworthy speeches ever. I don't want to play that, but, Here's Howard Lutnick. So this give you an idea of, I mean, certain people shouldn't be in politics because they don't have the temperament, or they're just total extremists and fanatics. But yet, with the Trump administration, a lot of these people have snuck into politics, and they shouldn't really be in the public, on the public-facing side of things. If you saw Lutnick at Davos, it was embarrassing. It was cringeworthy. I don't know where his confidence comes from. But here he is. This was before the 2024 election. Make of it what you will, folks. Watch this.
So, the first thing, we must elect Donald J. Trump president because we must crush jihad!
What a lunatic. And you notice the people didn't really clap. It was a pause. The audience was a bit shocked. I mean, even for a MAGA crowd, they're like, oh, this guy's a bit much. Just no self-awareness at all, and a total fanatic. Obviously, Israel first, America second, which is very commonly the theme with this Trump administration. That's the, so Lutnick and Epstein. Lutnick emails after he said he disavowed Epstein. So he was lying. They all lied. They're all in there with Jeff, and they're all trying to basically cover their you-know-whats, okay? Again, great piece by Freddie Ponton there. So they really tried hard to pull the Russia card on this. And the mainstream media, look at this. I mean, there's just so many, the videos are just clownish. The Telegraph, all of the LBC in the UK, this is Welt, evidence of a Russian spy operation, Epstein. And the Polish president, Donald Tusk, has pushed this out. There might be connections. Everyone's saying, well, Donald Tusk says there are. And Donald Tusk, nobody ever quoted Donald Tusk for anything, but because he inferred that maybe Epstein was really a Russian asset. They can't say Israel because if you serve as a politician in any Western country, you cannot publicly say Israel and Epstein or Israel and anything. You're finished. So, but Russia, no problem. So here's Andrew Marr in the middle there on LBC. This is British mainstream media at its finest. Anti-Russian fanaticism. Listen, folks, this could be a comedy sketch. This could be a comedy sketch, but it's real. We'll get this up.
Begin tonight with something that I think is even more important, even more extraordinary. Growing suspicions of a Russian connection. Epstein had apparently limitless supplies of money. Where did it come from? He procured many young Russian girls. Why was that so easy for him? The files released show more than 1,000 documents which referred to Vladimir Putin, and 9,000 referring to Moscow. The FBI says that he was Putin's wealth manager. Epstein filed all of his messages. He filmed and taped powerful Western leaders in deeply compromising situations. Why? Doesn't it make you wonder at least about the possibility of a KGB operation big enough to ensnare former presidents and prime ministers and the leaders of some of the world's most powerful companies? I know, this all sounds impossibly sensational, conspiratorial.
I know, conspiratorial.
A James Bond villain plot in real life. But there is so much smoke billowing out of one of the most extraordinary establishment crises in my lifetime that it...
So much smoke, there must certainly be fire somewhere there. So much smoke. So much smoke.
It is well worth exploring whether there might be also...
It's well worth exploring. It might be. There might be something there.
A genuinely ominous backstory.
Oh.
Let me begin tonight with something that I...
This is what passes for mainstream media these days. This is Andrew Marr. I mean, it is funny. So he told a number of lies there the FBI did not say that Epstein is Putin's wealth manager. I mean, broadcasting authority, it's funny, they took down RT because they claimed it was Russian disinformation, but the press regulators in Europe and the UK could never find any unfactual reporting or anything on RT that was not true. And yet this guy and people like this are allowed to repeat, make up things ad nauseum, so long as it somehow connects to Russia. See, also in the emails, which Andrew Marr didn't mention, is that if Epstein was a Russian asset, why was he begging Ehud Barak or somebody else to try to get him a Russian visa? Because he got denied a Russian visa. Epstein, a billionaire, couldn't get a visa. The Russians didn't want him. It's like, and Barak, Ehud Barak, former intelligence head in Israel, he is on record saying that he mentored Epstein, or Epstein's on record saying, no, I think it's Barak, I trained Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. So, I mean, it's it's not the head of Russian intelligence. It's not the former Russian president mentoring Jeff. It's Israel, Andrew, and the rest of them. It's just so stupid. But this is what passes for mainstream media these days here. And so this is like, look at that report. There's one picture of Epstein and Ghislaine. I don't know where they are. They who knows? They could be at Euro Disney for all we know, wearing Russian hats. And of course, that's the image they go with in the British press. Epstein's links to Putin and Kremlin spies raise fears he was a Russian agent. Raise fears. Of course, no proof. This is the state of mainstream journalism, folks. If you got a narrative, and then you can piece together evidence to somehow prove your narrative. And this is a good pickup by Matt Kennard, excellent British journalist, of course. And this is what he points out. Keir Starmer is the current Prime Minister of Britain, joined the CIA-linked Trilateral Commission while serving as Jeremy Corbyn's shadow Brexit secretary. He did not inform Corbyn he joined the Trilateral Commission. It's an invitation-only club, by the way, founded by David Rockefeller with Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, etc., launched out of Davos in the early 70s. Starmer served alongside two ex-heads of CIA. Ex-CIA director said in 2019, "We do our level best to stop Corbyn." Epstein was also a member of the Trilateral Commission. Epstein was also best friends with Peter Mandelson, who Keir Starmer, for some reason, appointed as U.S. ambassador to, or British ambassador to the U.S. after having been disgraced out of government like twice. We'll talk about that in the Overdrive with Basil Valentine. But Trilateral Commission. So Jeffrey Epstein was invited by David Rockefeller at the age of 32 to join the Trilateral Commission. What the hell was Jeffrey Epstein doing in the Trilateral Commission? That is the elite of elite clubs. That gives you access to business opportunities that, you know, puts you in the room with David Rockefeller and the richest people in the world. So this is, again, another one. I mean, there's just so much. The Epstein's network is mind-blowing. So this is going to set the conspiratorium alight right here, folks. Statement announcing, Daily Mail ran this as first, now everyone's on it. Statement announcing Jeffrey Epstein's death emerges from the Epstein Files. But it's dated a day before he killed himself in the cell. So honestly, you can't make it up. So this is, Bill Barr was, I think, Attorney General at this time. So what we're saying is someone's going to need to do a wellness check on Bill Barr, this story that's just come out. Look at this. Look a little bit closer. Let's look at the document. Well, there it is. Look at that. Folks, this is just too much. U.S. Attorney General's office here. Basically, this is dated August 9th. the death of Jeffrey Epstein, August 9th, 2019. This was during Trump's presidency, okay? But the problem is Epstein died on the 10th. I mean, talk about red meat to the conspiracy lion. I mean, folks, you listen, use your common sense, folks. Look at this. So what was this doing there? Was it a draft? What was it doing in there? It can mean only two things. To me, it's one of two things. Either they made a mistake, there was a plan by the U.S. government, the U.S. government knew he was going to get snuffed in his prison cell, okay? That's option one. But that doesn't really make sense, because you wouldn't want to leave a paper trail. But if the federal government were orchestrating some kind, or allowing maybe Israeli operatives to come and exfiltrate him, in other words, fake his death, then this makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. That's why you would find a document like this in this tranche. So right there, folks, that is, I mean, the thing, if it's true that Jeffrey Epstein was taken away in a type of witness protection program or handed over to Israel and he's in Tel Aviv or whatever, he's hiding in Thailand or whatever. The fact that if it's known that he's alive, or it's acknowledged that he is alive in a broader sense, like because of this, then there's a chance that he might not be alive much longer, if indeed he is, or who knows. But he is, yeah, too many people know about this now. So make of that what you will. Do you remember this? And we'll go to break in a minute, but I just have to point this out. Do you guys remember this? This was that stupid binder that the Trump administration gave out last year, February 1st, 2026, the Epstein Files. And they invited all of these so-called influencers to the White House. I mean, look at these people. Look at these guys. That's DC Drano. That's the redheaded guy with the beard. And they all dressed up nice. Got a waistcoat, nice shoes. Libs of TikTok, who's an Israeli plant, basically, on X. Very favorite of Elon as well. Mike Cernovich, Liz Wheeler, Scott Pressler with the cowboy boots. And I forgot who the last one is. See, Jack Posobiec as well. He's part of there in the background. He's clutching his red hat. They've all got their souvenir red hats. When the initial document dump dropped, none of these people were on it. They were given privileged like status to come in the White House. They were sort of the photo ops, big up. It was all a show. It meant nothing. This was just a distraction. That was a year ago. None of these people are leading this story now or have done any work. I mean, I've seen a few tweets from maybe Jack Posobiec, but belated, a bit late, a bit slow. So for people that were supposedly hot, all these so-called journalists hot on the Epstein Files, massively underwhelming. Massively underwhelming. They've done pretty collectively nothing. Nothing. They were just part of a Trump administration PR exercise that helped to deflect away from Israel at the end of the day. That's why you have all basically pro-Israeli bloggers. I think that was the qualification. You had to support Israel to be invited into the White House for that photo op, which we look back now and it's a complete joke. It's a total joke. I mean, these people, This is going to go down in history as one of the biggest political clown shows ever. It's hard to take any of these people seriously after this. It's so ridiculous. Meanwhile, the real stuff's happening, and yeah, you know, we're not bankrolled by billionaires like some people in that photo, but we have a good, solid, independent media organization and operation, and we've done some pretty damn good reporting and research already on this. And yeah, so we made our impact. We made our impact on this this story so far, unlike all those people who really done nothing. But that's how it goes sometimes. Look, let's take a break, and we're going to go into overdrive. Thank you for joining us at the beginning of this segment. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the end. We had some audio issues. We fixed it very quickly. It wasn't that hard, but yeah, that's how it goes. Show business, live show business. It's just how it goes. So anyway, we're going to be back in a few minutes. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is episode 581 of the Sunday Wire. I see the comments are filing in. We're going to feature some of those in just a minute. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll see you in a few. We'll be back with a couple of our teammates, Hesher, Ruckus, also Basil Valentine's going to be joining us as well. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be quite a spirited discussion. But meanwhile, we are all sitting on the edge of our seats, hoping that, at least for now, cooler heads might prevail in the Middle East, as the U.S. and Israel are desperate to start a war. We hope that doesn't happen. We hope that doesn't happen. We hope some other world leaders step up and realize how dangerous the situation really is. But until then, we'll see you in a few.
Don't need war, we need peace. We need to find a release from the ties that bind our minds, from the constraints that rule our lives. Politics has failed again. Power's in the hands of dangerous men, with their fury and their rage, and minds bent with fear, greed and hate. They're dropping bombs again. They don't know that all lives are heaven sent. Time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. Now's the time for change. Tell me, do you feel the same? For here we stand in the name of love. All peoples of the world as one. The revelation needed on the street is that we're more powerful than we believe. What they don't want us to know is that the light of love we shine they can't control. The other day I spoke to God. She said to me, share this message in a song. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We need to come together in unity. We can change the world tonight when we let love be our guiding light. It's time to stop the genocide, the warmongering in our times now. Now is the time. It's time for us to visualize a world where peace will shine now. Now is the time. It's time to heal dividing lines for the sake of humankind now. Now is the time. It's time for us to realize we're all one in God's mind now. Now is the time. Now is the time. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need peace. We don't need war, we need